Hello everybody, this is Xanar Kamatazi, and today we're going to go over the Juggernaut for Vengeance spec. Now note that this is for beginners, and this is going to be very basic for rotation towards the end. So I will go over that rotation. I will go over the things to note under the discipline path, only things to note. So please go through and read each and every single one of these, so that way you are able to figure out what is going to work better for you for your own rotation, if you happen to find something through those. I will also be going through the utility points, and again, go read through and find what works better for your playstyle. If you don't like the specs that I have set up for you here, I will also be going through some player tips. So to get started here, I will start off with the utility points. Under Skillful, I have Payback, which reduces the cooldown of your Unleash ability by 30 seconds and it will heal you for 10% of your maximum health when you use it as well. I also have Overwhelm, which causes your Ravage ability to immobilize the target for 3 seconds. I also have Annealing, which generates 4 rage when CC'd from stun, immobilize, sleep, or knocked down / knocked around. A good substitution, if there's one of those you don't like, would be Path Carver, which causes your sweeping slash to deal 25% more damage. Under Masterful, I have Crushing Fist, which allows your smash or vengeful slam to sunder the targets that the ability damage, but for 45 seconds, which sunder targets have 20% reduced armor rating. I also have Strangulate as a personal preference, which reduces the cooldown of the Force Choke ability by 15 seconds. Force Choke is essentially a stun. It does a small amount of damage, and it provides 3 rage over the duration, and is usable while moving. If you don't like that, I do recommend getting Pooled Hatred, which, when you are movement impaired, you gain a 10% damage bonus to your next ability that consumes rage. Stacks up to 5 times and lasts 15 seconds, so it is a total of 50% damage bonus towards your next ability. That consumes rage when you are at full stack. Under Heroic, I have Warbringer, which Force Charge enables your next Vicious Throw or Hew to be used against a target with any percentage of health and lasts up to 15 seconds. Vicious Throw and Hew both are usually used when your opponent is 30% or under for their health. And this ability allows you to use it regardless if they have 100%, 80% health, or whatnot. I also use Through Passion, which reduces the cooldown of Enraged Defense by 30 seconds. Your Enraged Defense normally has a 2-minute cooldown, and Through Passion utility point reduces it down to 1.5 minutes, and your Enraged Defense is a defensive ability. Under Legendary, I have Intimidating Presence. This allows me to have my Saber Reflect to last 2 seconds longer, which instead of 3 seconds of attackers to essentially be damaging themselves, it's now 5 seconds. If you'd prefer not to worry about those 2 seconds, Thrown Gauntlets is a good substitution, which reduces the cooldown of Force Push as well as Intimidating Roar by 15 seconds. And Saber Throw immobilizes its target by 3 seconds. So things to note, as stated in the spec, for your utility points, only if you're spec for it. As a reminder, Smash and Vengeful Slam will sunder the targets that it damages by 20% reduced armor rating for 45 seconds. Your Sunder target, or your Sundering Assault, also sunders its target, but that one's a single target, versus your Vengeful Slam ability will cause all opponents it damages to have a sundered effect. From the discipline path, for things to note, your Smash and Vengeful Slam will spread your bleed abilities or your bleed effects on one target to multiple, and your Sleeping Slash will have an increased damage to the bleeding targets by 25%. Your Shatter will finish your Ravage's cooldown. Impale will cause a beatdown effect on your target for 45 seconds, which increases your melee damage output by 5% on that target. Your Saber Throw will also cause a Sunder effect for 45 seconds for that 20% reduced armor effect. Again, single target. Shatter, Impale, Hew, and Vengeful Slam all will increase the crit chance of your next Force Scream by 50%, which lasts for 15 seconds and it has a 2-stack. So a total of 100% chance to crit. All your bleed damage, as well as your Ravage ability, will have 30% chance to finish the cooldown and proc your Hew, which is, again, will allow you to be used on target regardless of the health percentage, and it will last for 20 seconds with a 20-second cooldown. So those are all things to know. Your AoE damage will be Vengeful Slam, as well as your Sleeping Slash. And as far as the rotation, I have it as Force Charge, which after that ability, your Hew will be procced, so you can use that. Sundering Assault, followed by Impale, Shatter, Force Scream, Vengeful Slam, Ravage, and Saber Throw. Personally, I would use Retaliation and Heal when they're procced. And as a demonstration, I'll be going over this. So first, Force Charge. I'll use Heal, followed by Sundering Assault, Impale, Shatter, Force Scream, Vengeful Slam, use Hew again, use Ravage, Saber Throw. And then repeat, so Sundering Assault, Impale, Shatter, Force Scream, Vengeful Slam, and Hew. Anyway, that is the basic rotation for Vengeance. Moving on to tips for you guys, which I'm currently on my Legacy for Global Unlock, and then Other. So on this screen, I recommend at the very least of one character to hit max alignment for the light side. It can be very boring depending on which side you're on and what's going on, but I do recommend one character to hit the max alignment for light side just so you get the Unity ability. Unity is only able to be activated when you have a companion out with you. But what it does is it will reduce the damage both you and your companion take by 50% for 15 seconds. It's very useful when you're in a tight spot with your companion now. For ship unlocks, you do not need anything from here, except I do find it useful to have both the operations dummy as well as the Warzone training dummies. Both of them on the ship where I happen to be at for the operations training dummy. I find it useful for damage for your DPS check and for your damage output. If you have the repair droid as well, you're able to use items to modify the training dummies for healing as well as tanking. So using all three of them, you are able to essentially check where you're at before you go into the war zone and the operation. Make sure that you're up to par for where you need to be at. Galactic Command, as useful as it is, it will take a very long time to be able to utilize the Galactic Command completely, because you will have to have 4 different characters, so all 4 different types for your. We'll just use the Sith side here. So if you have the warrior, you have the your Inquisitor, your Imperial Agent, and your Bounty Hunter, all at 300, you will have a maximum of 100% command experience gain. So that doubles it. The command experience gained if you're working on your Jedi side or just any alt. But it only takes those 4 total as equivalent. So it takes a very long time to maximize that out. Under convenience, I do recommend getting improved mounting because it allows you to mount while you're moving. Very addicting, and it sucks when you don't have that on an alternate account. Tactical markers is useful when you're in operations as flashpoints as the group leader or raid leader. That way you're able to mark where each role will be at before the boss fight. And then the last 3 things I recommend is the Legacy Fleet Pass, Legacy Travel, and Improved Priority Transport Personal Starship. I recommend maxing them out because that allows your personal transport to your starship, your quick travel, and your emergency fleet pass to have no cooldown. The time to activate is essentially the cooldown. You can port around all day if you're completely bored and have nothing better to do. On character perks, I would recommend for advancement to get the improved experience on what you'll be focusing on, such as the class mission experience, exploration, Flashpoint if that's what you'd be going in for most. Uh, the improved command experience with the downside of the cost of 3.5 million credits. It is useful when you're working up the command experience, though. Except you have to be a max level and a subscriber for it to be utilized. But it is useful to get that extra 10%. Under Companion here, I do recommend maxing out Legacy of Altruism as well as Legacy of Promptness, because that will cause the time it takes to give your companions gifts. It reduces the time by 60%. So so normally it's about 3 seconds roughly. It will reduce the time down to 1.5 seconds for each and every single gift. And on top of that, each gift will give your companion a 30% increased influence. So the influence gained by each gift is 30% for your companion. Under travel, if you're speeder piloting, it's always useful from your main to your alt. That we can get each level much earlier. I also recommend getting Priority Transport Personal Starship to utilize the global unlock. So that way you could go from planet, slide straight to random point in the planet, even if you're in the middle of nowhere, straight to your personal starship. I also recommend side planets such as CZ-198 or the Black Hole. If you want to be able to support straight there and you don't remember where on the map it is. Convenience, I recommend getting the Field Repair Droid as well as the Field Respec. Those are the first two that I recommend you getting primarily, especially if you're constantly doing flashpoints to level up and you need to repair or need to sell, and in case you end up needing to respec, especially if you're Juggernaut or a sorcerer, you need to go from DPS to a tank to save your group, because your tank decides to leave halfway through. Or same thing on sorcerer if you need to go from a DPS to a healer, so that way you guys can progress. It's actually very useful. Anyway, those are my tips for you guys, and the basic of a Vengeance Juggernaut. So I wish you guys luck, and hope to see you guys in game.